Welcome.
There you go. That's the start. All right. We're going to be talking about the economy, the market, stuff like that today. It's quite a hot topic, and I know Protoxx and I have made like kind of separate videos on it. I don't think Muncles, I don't know whether you've said much about it in your videos. Here and there you have a couple of items have been skyrocketing, like your dragon limbs that you were farming and stuff like that. So,
yep.
Obviously it's impacting all different elements of the game, not just like PVM, but it's also impacting like all of the other items in the economy that all associate with all different PVM stuff. So we're just going to comment on all of that different stuff, maybe ways to combat it or ideas that we might have. Should be a pretty fun chat. So hello, Mr. Munkle. Hello, Mr. Protoxx. How are you both doing today?
Great. Honestly. Like, seriously, I'm doing real good. I'm happy, dude.
What happened? Did you have like extra sugar in your tea?
No. no, just just I don't know. It's a good day, dude. I really don't know why. Just feels that way.
How are you doing, Munkle? You good?
I'm doing good. It's a weekend. I have a break from what's been a pretty crazy schedule so far this semester. So, yeah, doing well.
That's awesome. Obviously, we all know party hats, etc., are nutty. They're over max stack of shards. We have the Eldritch crossbow is like 2.5 free bill or something crazy. And then everything is just getting more and more expensive. But a couple of items have seemed to stop or go down a little bit recently, which is cool. But the market's still all over the place. We know a big part of the big rise was obviously Raksha causing all of the range items to go up. And I guess Scythe kind of links into Raksha a little bit there as well. But then everything else just started skyrocketing.
Combat week.
What do you... so do you think that had a big impact as well?
Yes, because just now I streamed and people told me that the Scythe went up to 400 mil. Now, I didn't check it, but I believe them. There's probably someone that bought it for 400 mil. And now it's going back down. So are Cinderbanes. They're dropping somehow. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, so Scythe's back down to about 300.
I think Cinderbanes went up to 90, possibly even above that.
Jeez, but why are they... Like, why would someone buy... Why would PVM week suddenly make... Yeah, sure, the increase, but why would they crash? Like, you're just going to stop doing PVM after the week? What is wrong with you?
So... The Cinderbanes probably crashed because more people were doing Slayer.
Oh, that makes perfect sense, dude.
So they have gone down to about 70 mil, which is a 20 mil crash, which is pretty high. But so did Blood Shards. Like, Blood Shards are like 18 to 20. They're like 15 now. So the stuff associated with Slayer have gone down, but then the Scythe has gone down as well. The Scythe went up to nearly 400 mil, and now it's back down to 300. So why would the Scythe drop after combat week when people are getting into PVM now? Wouldn't that continue to rise? The market is so dumb, dude.
The people getting to PVM are like, okay, I'm going to do it this week. There's no dev cost. And they're like, I died, dude. 2 mil. I'm out. I'm done. Selling Scythe.
Or they tried Slayer, they tried PVM, and they're like, I'm not really feeling this. I'm going to go back to AFK all the time. Or it also could just be, it's late January. A lot of universities start up their semesters around now. So it just could be the timing as well.
I see. I mean, the first thing you said is probably a little more logical. Like maybe because it's combat week, there's like so many people that like are skillers trying it out, and they're like, maybe I will like it, and then they don't, and then they sell their items. Maybe that's a more logical one.
I could see that happening.
I could see that, but it could also be like, I guess like tinfoil hat, I guess, but like not necessarily even PVMers at all, but people who were merching the item saw it go up so high that they wanted to cash out, and then once someone sold, say they were sitting on like 50 scythes, and they sold all 50 and caused it to crash a little bit, and then the next Joe down the road was like, oh crap, scythe went down by 5 mil, I better sell mine now, and then everyone sold their scythes that they were sitting on that they were merching, rather than even using for PVM.
Dude, that's what happens though, panic selling.
Exactly.
If I can just place a tinfoil hat on top of your tinfoil hat, maybe because the secondary market for PlayStation 5s has kind of dwindled, the people that were making money off of buying and reselling those have moved on to RuneScape.
Dude, whoa! Dude, Monko, man, what is this 5-head, like, market knowledge? Maybe, indeed. Holy moly. What are you doing? Just release more PlayStation 5s.
That's what I've never understood though. When it like I know this is completely different to what we're talking about, but like when something gets released and you're gonna sell like goddamn millions upon millions of units, why would you not make more?
Yeah, bad supply chain design.
I mean, they do, but wasn't it something around the lines of, I don't know. I think it was around the lines of 1 million units were sold out, either at release or very soon after. So there were a lot of units produced. It's just
But 1 million units on like one of the most
building that many units takes a lot of time.
Those are rookie numbers, right? I think I'm guessing
they're a big company, dude.
No, but like seriously, if I'm studying industrial engineering, so I'm like kind of like efficiency and that kind of stuff. I'm not saying I know a lot about it yet, but like you would have expected a new release because they've only done 5, right? They would have expected to sell more than 1 million, right? Like, come on, you should have made more stock.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, how can you not anticipate that? And it's COVID. Oops.
Demonetized. I don't know. It's just such a big company that 1 million just didn't seem like enough or whatever. But anyway, moving on from that.
Let's go back to the RuneScape market, dude.
Yeah. When it comes to like the whole scythes and I guess tier 90s and stuff in particular, so the scythes are going back down. If I take a look at Ascension crossbow,
good one.
The Ascension crossbow is still sitting at around 215 mil
a pop
and hasn't changed.
Is that for just the main hand?
Yeah, that's just the main hand. So why would the scythe crash, but the Ascension hasn't? Like, my brain just doesn't comprehend anything that's happening in the market right now because nothing makes sense.
No, wait, isn't range supposed to be the best combat style now?
Yeah, but melee's still amazing and scythe's still the best for like a ton of Slayer tasks, right?
No.
So it's still a best in slot weapon. So like a best in slot weapon like a scythe going down so much, but then all of the other best in slot weapons are like staying the same. Doesn't really make sense to me. Like even decimations have gone up.
Wait, what? No.
That was insane. I sold my decimation for a lot.
Dude, they're
that's because of Capsarius in a personal Slayer dungeon.
Yeah, but
so everyone's like, oh, decimation's best in slot for Capsarius in Legacy. All right, let me buy one. And now they're over the price of a Wyvern crossbow.
I think it's time to make a. Dude, honestly, I at one point I wanted to make a video about the decimation because the AOE spec is also fairly cool. I'm not sure how good it is in an EOF. I don't know. Maybe you do, Maikeru. Do you have one?
I've tried it in an EOF.
Is it bad?
It's not great because it's just so expensive on adrenaline. So you're better off just using chins.
Yeah.
It's 65.
Oh.
So it's the same as a dart bow, so you'd much better off be using dart bow. And if you're like AoE in, like you're not gonna use a decimation and then use another spec. Like I found it fun because I decimation spec'd, adrenaline potted, and then I was able to incendiary shot every Edamu and blow up all the Edamus at once.
Yeah.
That was fun. But it's not exactly efficient. Like it's fun to use, but you'll be better off just using chins and unloading a snapshot into a dart bow, and boom, you've done the same thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what about like SGBing with it?
It doesn't work. So it's single to each person. So like it won't hit other monsters.
Shame, dude.
So it kind of sucks. Yeah. So when I like SGB'd Edamu, it put it on every single Edamu, but the pellets did not transfer over to other Edamus. So it was all just like each one got hit once or twice. Not like 6 times each, yeah.
No, that's such a shame, dude.
They've probably reached their peak and are starting to go back down at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah, the decimation probably around 100 to 110 right now, yeah.
Insane.
I have a question about like prices rising through spikes. So I wonder how much just the natural inflation of more GP in the game affects the impacts the price of items that are marginally useful, even if they're not incredible like the decimation, but it does have a purpose. Do you think those might rise in spikes and then stay there due to inflation? Or do you think, because we don't usually see just slow rises in item prices over time?
I want to answer that, but is there actually inflation? Because I feel like RuneScape has so many gold things. I could be wrong though. I'm not saying I'm educated here, but is it really a problem, like the amount of gold in RuneScape? Because I like there's events, all these like the unlock. There's quite a lot of gold.
There's so much gold coming into the game, and the game's been around for 20 years. Like that's a long time of gold entering the game, Is
it because Treasure Hunter with the 200 mils, or like where's all the gold coming from?
So the 200 mils from Treasure Hunter is a huge bad thing. because when those promos, like the celebration one, came out on like January, it was around for like what 12 days, and I spent my oddments every single day because I have nothing else to spend them on, and I got 200 mil 3 times, buying 30 keys a day. So I done a total of like 300 and odd keys, and I got 200 mil 3 times.
What? Insane. Dude.
And I have a lot of friends who are also 5.6 that spent their oddments on keys and all got at least 200 mil in that time.
Yeah, but you have all the rares as well, right? The purple ones.
Yeah. So that helps, but like a veteran player is going to have those pretty much, like the lucky items and stuff from just doing Treasure Hunter each day if you've been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
But like in general, that promo was just so busted in terms of bringing even more GP into the game, and then you have that on top of Spring Cleaner continuously auto-alking so many items every single
Spring
day.
Cleaner is a huge part of it too.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
the sprinkler. Yeah, no. I was like, where's? Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then you've got your invention machines that alk for you, which you put 0 input on.
ED
and
relics.
there's so many different areas. Yeah, so many different areas where like GP's coming into the game that we have a lot of gold sinks, but most of the gold sinks don't take that much money out of the game. Like some people will convert bonds and trade them to their Iron Man accounts, which is like 2.8 mil or whatever, leaving the game. That's a decent gold sink. Death costs, decent gold sink. But most people use a Ring of Death now, so that isn't even that big of a gold sink compared to what it normally would have been. I'm really hoping Jagex release data with the bossing week, because I think that would be really, really interesting. Where like X amount of GP has left the game over the course of the last month weekly averages, and then this is how much left on bossing week. How much less was it without death? You know, that'd be really, really cool to see how much that week compared to other weeks on average. I think that'd be a really, really cool thing, and it would kind of show, I guess, just how good of a gold sink deaths is.
Yeah, I'd be curious for that, definitely.
Yeah, so we have all of these gold sinks, but each of these gold sinks aren't taking that much money out of the game, because most people would have a death cost of like 8, 10, even like 15 mil. They're never really going to die unless it's an accident, very rarely, without a Ring of Death.
Is that rare though? Like, I feel like especially people with lots of stuff have a habit of like missing their Ring of Death because they have so many things in the inventory.
Yeah, but the people that take like 100 switches don't really die.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not very often.
What's your opinion on the cap then? Because I genuinely want a cap on the death cost personally, but that's...
Yeah, I think a cap on the death cost would work fine, because it would also warrant people not necessarily wearing their Ring of Death for a slightly higher death cost, because if a Ring of Death costs about 1 mil a death in Onyxes, and they cap the death cost at like 1.5, 2 mil, it's not going to feel that bad if you die without one. Yeah, you're going to spend like, 50, 100% more, but if you don't die that often, that isn't going to hurt you. Whereas the 10 mil death cost is going to hurt you still, because that is literally 10 times the amount you would pay over a Ring of Death.
Yeah, okay. I think you're going to have some people that disagree with 1.5 mil, because I in my video I talked about death cost in one of my videos, and I was like I would be happy even with a cap of like 5 mil.
I think 5 mil's too high. Maybe 3 mil, 4 mil. I wouldn't really want to go any higher than that, because then that still just means that
You're gonna
a Ring of Death is always just going to be camped, because it's 3-4 times more expensive to die.
Yeah, and also because the Ring of Death just isn't a bad ring to wear. You're not having that huge of a negative effect on your ability wearing it over like surgeons.
It's a good ring, yeah. It's a really good ring.
Yeah. If it is free, I guess 1.5 is too low, yeah, because then no one would wear a Ring of Death, I guess. But then Onyxes would go down, and then people would, because a death would be like 750k, and it'd be half again. But yeah, even if they capped it at like 3 mil, it would still make it worth wearing a Ring of Death, because it's a third of the cost or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. No, I would like to see like people discussing that in the comments. Actually, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like what's like the idea?
Like how much are you willing to pay for your death? Yeah.
I don't want to be paying 10 mil, that's for sure, dude.
The minimum amount possible.
Exactly.
I'll pay 5k, take it or leave it, Death.
Another thing that I think impacted stuff like the Scythe, but also impacted obviously things like the Ascensions and everything we were talking about, would be people coming from old school, people coming over from a friend and his series, and people coming over because old school didn't get many updates recently and they're not being happy there, or Trailblazer League has ended. They kind of got a bit burnt out or bored, and they wanted to try it out with their friends, etc. So there's been a ton of people swapping gold to RS3, I remember Oak Dice was making tweets about it, saying that it's probably the highest amount that's ever had swap in
Ooh,
RS3
interesting.
GP for old school GP, as in like coming from old school.
Okay.
I did not know that. I'm not surprised though.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that would probably cause a price hike on those items that are like tier 90 and best in slot, like a scythe. But then at the same time, I don't know why they're dropping now if it was just that. It can't be natural inflation at that point. It has to be extra power at work and people manipulating the prices, I think. I think that definitely had a big impact at the same time.
Hold up. What you just said, that makes sense. You know how with the rares, I used to, there's a French chat that used to merge rares. I'm not sure if they're active still. I'm not going to name them either, but what they did to buy up rares to earn more of the market, to be able to manipulate more, is fake crash. Force people to panic sell. So, for example, an Easter egg would be like 150 mil at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they would basically start typing in their like French chat, like this X amount of eggs are sold for this price, and people would believe it and start selling them at that price. They would buy them up, like for example, at 100 mil instead of 150, and then they would suddenly start going back up to like 200 mil. That's how they make the money, and then they just sell them again, and they just keep doing that. It's really weird.
All right,
Like-
so now we need a tinfoil hat for you as well.
Yes, please.
But I do agree, like as much of like a meme it is or whatever. But like, and I wouldn't be surprised. That's then just a mass mob mentality of like, oh, it's going down, sell. So then they had that added to it. So if they started a crash, they could cause it to crash pretty easily if they have a decent amount of X item.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, also just when items go down, and I saw this a little bit in my friend's chat as well during the PVM week, is for a lot of people they have the tendency to think that, oh, I have to sell now. I'm going to lose out on money, and like this is kind of the same phenomenon that causes stock market crashes in real life, at least to the extent that we see them, because crashes wouldn't be nearly as bad whether in RS or in real life or whatever if people realized that I could just hold on to what I have and it's going to go back up in value over time and I'm not going to lose everything, versus selling their belongings the second they start to go down and then just making the crash even worse than it needed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And I don't know, but like then if people hear, oh, Scythe's only 300 mil, then it's going to start going back up again. So
Oh yeah.
what Protoxx said is pretty interesting because...
Yep, that's why you hold on to your items for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people that I know were like saving for a Scythe, and maybe they can afford it now that it's gone down 100 mil. So then more people are going to start buying it again, and it's going to go back up. So if they ditch their Scythes at 380, 400 mil, and they cause that crash, and then everyone panic sold, they can now just scoop it all up and have it go up again.
That's that might even happen like by accident, just because everyone thinks the same. Like the like not even per se merchants. It could happen just by the community thinking, oh, I'm going to sell it now because it's high. I actually had some guy comment on my video saying he's going to sell his or that he sold his Scythe because you're like, it's going to come down at some point.
Yeah, because it was so high they had to like eat it because they didn't trust it being at that price.
I mean, he was right though. It's going down.
But why only the Scythe though?
Yeah, that's the weird thing. What about Drygores? Could you pull that up? Maybe Drygores.
Yeah, I can take a look.
It could be that it's just melee somehow that like it's going down and stuff.
Drygores haven't seen a change, but Scythe has. So
Wow.
Drygores is still like 50 mil for the mace, like the main hand mace, and then all of the offhands are anywhere between 55 and 70 mil.
Okay. I think that's because literally no one likes KK.
I like KK.
Okay, most players don't like KK as a boss.
I'm definitely in the minority, though.
I guess that could technically be another reason for the Scythe crash. If people aren't enjoying KK as a boss, that not that many people do Legios because they're like a lottery item.
Yo, literally.
Stuff like that. Maybe Araxor is what people have been farming, and if people have been farming Araxor, then legs are going to be coming into the game more often than any of the other items. Maybe.
Yeah, I actually recently made, but that was a Nox staff I sold. I didn't sell a Scythe because I didn't have a fang. If you have a fang, just buy a leg.
Yeah, you make tons of money.
Spider legs have dropped as well, so spider legs are like directly tied into Fang, but they haven't dropped anywhere near as much as the Scythe, so maybe the Fangs dropped more, but a spider leg a week ago was 155 mil, and now it's 144. So it's dropped, 11 mil?
I mean, 11 mil ain't that big. Like, I feel like it's gonna just go up and down constantly anyways. Isn't that true anyways for the leg? I feel like it fluctuates a lot.
Yeah, the leg does fluctuate a decent amount, and just in general, like the other Nox items haven't seen that much of a decrease. The leg's gone down, but the longbow is still 160, and the staff is still 160. So the scythe is like the only one that's really going down, and I don't really understand. It's just that item in particular. It has to be other means, I swear.
I mean, there's probably just someone like some squad of people merging. Then must be, unless I missed something on the live stream or something like about Golders Dungeon 3 or.
No, the only thing they said on the live stream is that potentially Greater Chain would get buffed, so Greater Chain has gone up, and they also said that range is too powerful, and Mage isn't powerful enough.
Yes.
So people took that as, oh, Ricochet's going to get nerfed and Chain's going to get buffed. So then Ricochet went down from like 1.1 to like 850.
It was 1.1?
Chain went from like, yeah.
What?
And then Chain went from like 150 to like 300.
Huh? So you know how we talked about that? We were like talking about how Ricochet. I said it was going to go to 250 at some point.
And I said, don't trust it. It's probably going to stay high. And you're like, I guess so. And then, yeah.
Dude, 1.1 bill for an ability. Just, that is absolutely that's like a ZGS right there, dude. I mean, the ability is pretty disgusting, though. Let's be honest.
Great Ricochet is better than a tier 99 prayer, so like it's just OP. Like I would get it before a tier 99 prayer at this point. With it being 850 mil, like I think Ricochet beats tier 99 prayer at that price.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just safe to assume that we shouldn't underestimate the amount of money people are willing to spend for PVM characters.
Yeah. I mean, the people out there making bank 1.1 bill for like an ability that's better than any threshold really is and it procs bolts like 70% of the time.
Yeah, it's really nice at proccing bolts. It's so good with Hydrix. Like, it's the amount of adrenaline you get.
I have not tried Hydrix at all with the ability yet because they're so expensive.
I run Hydrix at Raksha with rubies. So like I do Hydrix until it procs one, and then I'll switch to rubies and let my rubies tank, and then I'll switch back when I need a Dren.
Oh, I see. Dude, ammo switching. Switch cape is out of hand, guys.
I mean, it's worth it, though. You get 10% Adren when it procs, and then all your basics give you extra Adren. Like, it's just really strong.
Yeah. No, I agree with Ricochet that I'm surprised. I'm just going to be honest. I would never expect it to go to 1.1 bill because I thought enough people were doing Raksha. Personally, I really thought it was just going to go down.
Yeah, so it's the thing where people have stopped doing Raksha once they get their log or once they get bored, and then people still need the ability. The ability then is still got the same demand, but then the supply is lower, and they're leaving the game. So every time someone redeems one, it's not being resold. So abilities are always pretty insane, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are right, Maikeru. You know the market better than I do. Guys, don't trust whatever I say in my videos about markets.
We commented on gold sinks a little bit with Dev's Office and stuff, but then we kind of got off tangent, like we always do.
Always, dude.
So what kind of gold sinks are in the game? We have bond conversions, Dev's Office, boss instances, next is like frozen key consumption thing, repairing gear, shop runs, I guess?
But I think one is not directly taking gold out of the game, but invention things are broken down that in the past would have been alked.
So item sync in invention is amazing. That's what keeps Armadillo worth money. That's what keeps subjugation worth money, etc. Like invention is amazing.
Yeah.
There's the shop runs are a gold sink, maybe not a big one, but they are.
Daily runs of like runes and stuff like that.
No, that's true, because I probably spend like a mil GP a day on runes.
What, really?
Well, if
Damn.
you buy out all the rune shops, and I feel like there's other things you can spend gold on. I mean, you can buy out yak hides. There's a couple other minor things you can do. So you can spend a mil or even more than that, especially for Ironman if you do shop runs to hit up all the like sword shops and battle axe shops to get invention comps. That can take a lot of gold out of the game. Not like Iron Man GP is influencing the market at all, but
like even main accounts will do that when they first unlock invention. They might go on a shop run, and because it's still going to be a bit cheaper.
It's a quick and cheap way to get a lot of those basic components that you need.
Yeah, so shop runs is another decent gold sink,
but we haven't really had any major ones added in a while.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess like a billionaire title in Deep Sea Fishing Hub, where it used to be Well of Goodwill, You can't use the Well of Goodwill anymore.
They're still there.
Like,
No, but they come like every now and then. I remember it being like last year, right? Or
it
am
was a
I-
while ago, the last one, and now you get the billionaire title when the Whirlpool happens in Deep Sea Fishing Hub. You can put 1 GP in there and you get like charitable or whatever, and then you can put like 10 mil, I think it is, or a bill, and you get like different titles. The same as what happened with Well of Goodwill is now that Whirlpool. So that takes away some GP from the game if someone wants that title.
Mhm.
Do you guys have any ideas for like a new gold sink? Because we said no gold sinks has entered the game for a while. Is there any ideas that you have for potentially another like way to take money out of the game? Because I think the game needs it, or they just need to improve or make new ones. So then, you know, if they do impact dev costs, they don't have to be as reliant on stuff like that and have even more avenues of taking money out of the game. You know.
I have some ideas. Also, we forgot one to mention: the portals at the PVM hub as a sync.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah, so reattuning portals and even Max Skilled Garden as well, right? Like, that's another one that takes money out of the game, especially if you're a cluer.
Oh yeah.
Like, different clue tiers require you to attune different portals in the Max Skilled Garden for your Grace of the Elves.
Yeah.
Definitely is a
Exactly.
GP sync, so yeah, that's another one that we can add to the list. So, even if, you know, 50k, 100k at a time, that really adds up, for sure.
True. Especially with the amount of players using them.
Mm-hmm.
But I have some ideas.
Mhm.
One could be tax, but I'm not a big fan of that.
I think tax would work. It doesn't have to be a
But
big...
for, like, the GE?
No, not for GE. For Duel Arena.
But Duel Arena isn't like the. I mean, sure, yeah, you can put it there. But what about other areas in the game then? Like a 0.5% for GE purchases. How about
I don't
that?
think that'd be good. I don't think people want to get taxed when they sell sign on the GE, you know, like...
Oh no, neither.
I'm not the biggest fan on that one personally, but I think, you know, even if they put a 1% tax on the Duel Arena, people are staking literally billions of GP, so they either take away some spirit shards or take away some gold, right? It doesn't have to be like a 10% tax or something crazy. 1% would be more than enough, and it would remove so much GP from the game, because someone stakes 1 bill, 1% of a bill is still 10 mil. That is a really high tier death cost just exiting the game, and people do those stakes all day, every day, so... I don't see that much of an issue with that. Loads of people are like, oh, take away the Duel Arena, kill it, get it out of the game.
Why not use it for our benefit?
Yeah. Instead of removing it from the game and then having people be like super shady and doing all of these like random black market gambling stuff, at least they could control it in the game with it being in the game. It might not be the nicest place in the game, but if they just add like a little tax on it, then they can benefit everyone from the Duel Arena, and then people probably would feel less angry about it as well because they're benefiting from it and it's helping them.
Yeah, like if you go to Vegas IRL and gamble, it's about a 2% tax in favor of the house, and people are willing to do that, so it's not out of the question at all, I don't think. It's shown to be a highly successful model.
And it works on old school, and people still stake tons on old school, so then we can be, again, less reliant on stuff like death costs, and then maybe look into making the death costs have a cap and, you know, not caring so much. Because
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, no, that's a good shout.
I remember making a tweet, because I got Warden during PVM week, and I never do Telos.
I noticed.
Right? I hate Telos, I hate Mage. It's not... I've never enjoyed using Magic, even when it was like the King. I don't enjoy that style.
Can you just have meleeed?
I could have, but it's harder because then you need to use sticky bombs and you have to do like stuff that you don't normally do if you use like range or melee. Like you do different things, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Mage is the easiest to do Telos with because it has so much utility and, you know, Ice Barrage and all of that stuff. So it was fine doing that, and I learned Telos. I got to learn his rotations, and it was pretty fun. And it was something that I wouldn't have done if PVM week wasn't there, because the amount of money I would have spent in deaths was like kind of overbearing. And I said that in my video I made on it, and people completely agreed, and they were doing like all these different things. Like they'd die like 10, 20 times learning this like difficult boss like Ambassador or Raksha. And they enjoyed doing that because they didn't feel super punished. And they literally said they would never have done it if there was no free deaths.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, so having something that could then take money out of the game so they can be less reliant on death costs. I'm not saying remove death costs. We still need them. You need to be punished some way, but being punished less would be so nice for those people that are learning. And there's so many more people coming back to the game. More and more people are wanting to learn, but then that's that daunting thing. They've already spent, 500 mil on their gear. They don't want to spend like a mil every single time they die, like, or even 3 mil when they die or something crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's actually like an issue.
Do you not think that the practice mode is a good solution for this?
No, because good you mentioned. Let me, Michael. What do you think about practice mode, Michael? Before I say
Practice
anything.
mode is good. I think it's a good thing.
I used practice mode to learn how to solo Nax, and actually it might have been a test server or something. I don't remember if practice mode was even out back then. But regardless, I did use practice mode to practice Raksha.
Yeah, I did it for Raksha as well. Yeah.
I had no um I didn't think that I was going to get the kill anyway, so I felt okay getting practice mode. But I do understand that if you believe there's a chance you could finish the kill,
Yeah,
then
that
practice mode feels really demotivating because there's no reward at the end.
exactly that.
Yeah, and also you can't really practice mode elite dungeons.
But you can. I actually don't know. Like I've never checked it. You can you even.
I don't know, but like
You can do story mode and the bosses have 10% HP, but they don't give.
no, the boss is still 10% damage. The HP is the same,
Oh,
I
okay.
believe.
Practice mode still sucks your supplies. That's the problem. If it wouldn't do that, it
Yeah.
would have been a little better.
I think practice mode is okay. It's just when someone gets close to a kill, or they get one kill, but they're still not good at the boss, they don't want to do practice mode because they've got a kill. They still want to get their stuff, but then they might die a couple of times to get another kill, and then that's going to demotivate them because the money they just spent on their death cost, and then they get a kill, that whatever they just got as a drop didn't even pay for their deaths. You know, when you're learning that boss and you're like in the intro, you don't want to just continuously get nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to try, and then you lose it. But yeah, elite dungeons, I guess my example was like, if you want to practice ambassador, I don't know, I guess there is a practice mode and you can probably go in, but like, then you get nothing, right? So like, all of the monsters before and stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
you get nothing. So ambassador and like Blackstone Dragon and stuff like that, they're pretty hard to do in practice mode. Unless you're willing to literally take a loss on everything.
What about like phase specific practice mode? That's something I would like to see for Telos specifically.
Yeah, I think they have it in raids. They made it so you can practice Mirage on Yakimaru.
Yeah, they
and
did
stuff.
exactly. Yeah. I noticed that. Yeah, because I tried to solo raids for the memes once. Safe to say, I didn't get very far.
All right, evil Lucario.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they had like a phase specific, I think that'd be really cool. The practice mode would be made a lot better if they had a phase specific thing, because then you could practice your P5 Telos, or you could practice your Rago P4 or P5. The last phase in Rago is sometimes quite difficult.
Yep.
Especially in duo, you could practice that.
I had a question. So I was looking up cleansing crystals at the Heffen Monastery, and the reason why is because this is the method of prayer training that I did both on my Iron Man to get 95 prayer for Turmoil. I know that people on Iron Man probably just campfires for prayer now, but the Sun Spear wasn't out at the time. I also did 120 prayer on my main at the Heffen Monastery doing cleansing crystals. And I spent probably about 900 mil cash doing that. So it ended up being a massive gold sink. So I don't know if people do cleansing crystals anymore for prayer training. If you look up the pay-to-play prayer training guide on Wiki, it doesn't even mention it as an option. I'm guessing it's not very popular.
It's just not optimal anymore.
Really?
Yeah, because Dragon Bones are like, even on double XP, where Heaven Crystals get buffed, they're only slightly faster than Dragon Bones off of double XP, and they work out a tiny bit cheaper. So even when you're getting double from that, it really doesn't benefit you that much. It benefits you like 20% over Dragon Bones. As a training method, it's just kind of slacky because there's so many new bones in the game as well, right? Because the higher tier bones are going to be faster, etc.
That's true. It's not time efficient. The reason why I did it was it's super AFK.
Yeah, it is with the quiver, right?
It was such a low effort. So even though it took me more hours to get 120 prayer than it would have doing Dragon Bones, I was, PVMing on my Iron Man and doing stuff where it wouldn't have really been feasible to get 120 prayer doing Dragon Bones. I mean, Dragon Bones are not the most click intensive thing in the world, but they require a lot more effort than Heaven Monastery. So
banking and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and Heaven Monastery, you occasionally click on the monk to buy new crystals, and other than that, you just click once every 2 minutes. It's amazing. So I kind of wonder if there's opportunities for other skills to provide, a super AFK method that's not efficient, not the best, but at least competitive.
Huh.
But it offers, some sort of benefit, whether it's more AFK or it's easier to do or whatever the case may be, but very gold intensive.
That would be a good thing, I think. Yeah.
I like that.
Construction's another one where it has certain items where you buy from the stores, and like the golden leaf stuff like that. You have to buy them from the stores, and then they cost you money, and then they like are used in X things that you're making. If more things had stuff like that, maybe Herblore, where 120 Herblore could have been a good way to get a gold sink. Like one of the potions that was decent, maybe you had an item that you had to buy from the Herblore store that cost X amount of money.
How come we're doing this podcast, right? We go off topic and then we suddenly think of other gold sinks like the cleansing crystals, like construction.
It's because we're thinking about it while talking about other stuff, I guess.
It's insane. The amount, it's kind of like we have to go off topic before our brain finds something else. Insane, dude.
There needs to be something that's like super consistent.
I like Monko's idea a lot. Like honestly, if you could just what is your least favorite skill, Monko or Maikeru?
Mine is rune crafting.
Mine was construction, but construction contracts made it a little bit better. So I honestly don't even know what I would say is my least favorite skill now. Probably agility, but then Silverhawks are OP.
Yeah. So let's say rune crafting then. Let's say you could train rune crafting in Priv at level 85. I'm just gonna say 85. I know it's 75 isn't a requirement for Priv at all. Rune crafting, I think. Actually, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Nah, it's not.
But something like that training method, because rune crafting is slow at the rune span. If it's too fast at Priv, it will kill rune span. But at the same time, rune span's already kind of in the grave because of the soul altar in a way.
Yeah, rune span's just not good unless people are going for some points for X, Y, or Z.
Like it's not even more. I don't know. Like I don't know why people still do it. Honestly.
Well, you need to do a lot of rune span to fully unlock the Wicked Hood. Like it does take a long time. I don't know how long exactly, but I would guess you probably have to get at least 90 or close to it to buy all of the Wicked pieces. If you fully unlock the Wicked Hood, though, that's like a free couple 100k GP a day every day.
You could technically do that with the merchant now, though, because you can buy Unstable Air Rune, which is 5,000 rune span points.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And that saves you like 3 hours of your life or something every time you buy one of those in rune span, which is pretty cool. So those type of things could you could not even step foot in there. Get your full Wicked outfit, get your other unlocks, and you'd be good to go if you just do that every time it comes around in the merchant. There is other avenues of that now. So if they did make a rune crafting method in Priv Protoxx, what would it entail? Like you pay GP?
Yeah, like cleansing crystals, but then you get this big chunky essence,
Yeah.
and you offer it to this elven thing.
Yeah, and then you just like AFK for 5 minutes while offering
I think it'd be okay if it was faster XP than RuneSpan, because RuneSpan is free, and this you would be paying money for.
Oh yeah, good argument.
Somewhere in between RuneSpan and like Blood Runes and Soul Runes via the Abyss, so like 250k.
Oh wait, because the archaeology relic, it's quicker now, huh?
Yeah, so Blood Runes and Soul Runes are both like 400 to 450k, and you can push like up to 500 if you're like super sway. And then when it comes to RuneSpan, it's like 125, 150k
at max.
So yeah, you're probably looking at what, like 250k, something like that would be a fair in between. People would do it.
Yeah, like 200k an hour, 250k on Voice of Saren or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People would spend the money.
Dude, this is great. Why I want it to be in runecrafting now, because I hate runecrafting.
I know. I would do that for 120 runecrafting.
Yeah, dude, I would get the cape. I mean, people with the cape, hold up, they would get mad.
Nah, not at all. You're buying runecrafting at that point, right? Like,
yep.
I made billions of GP from runecrafting, and I also got it faster than what you would get if you spend the money in there. So I'm not going to be mad. I'm completely fine, It's just however you choose to do it.
No, I mean the people that like got 120 runecrafting at RuneSpan, because for whatever reason, I have a few people I know that got it at RuneSpan, even though the Soul Altar already existed.
Then that's their issue. Why would they get mad?
Because now this is like a faster way of, I don't know, easy escape.
But then they save money.
Yeah.
People get angry over anything, dude. Just let things come out, let power creep happen, and just let those people cry in a corner. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen anyway. What if we took Silverhawk feathers off of Treasure Hunter, put them in a shop, made them super expensive, and limited them where you can buy, like, I don't know, 50 a day or something?
So they're in the Deep Sea Merchant. Yeah. They come around every so often, but they're not in there every day.
I would not mind them being in a physical shop, given that the limit is like 100 a day or less.
I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, like...
And tie them to the price they're normally around. So on the G, they're normally, between 20 to 25k? Chuck them in at like 23k or something, and they'd be fine.
Make a little talking eagle merchant, put him in Eagle's Peak. We're reviving dead content. We're making that lodestone useful.
Mhm.
Hell yeah, dude.
Then you can just teleport there once per day, buy your 50 silver rock feathers. They're super expensive, so only late game players use them, but they also take a lot of GP out of the game.
I like it. What
Yeah.
did they turn into? Given that you can sell them back at the same price, which you should probably turn off, wouldn't they turn into the new spirit shards?
I wouldn't let them sell back at the same price.
Well, if they're out of Treasure Hunter, then eventually, as we use up all the ones on the GE, the only way to obtain them becomes the shop.
That would make them more expensive, actually. I just realized. That would definitely make them more expensive. They're used a lot.
Eventually, it would become a money-making method where even if you didn't want to train agility, you could buy them and resell them for 1k profit a feather or whatever.
Probably more. I like it. Like, what? It's just another shop run. I didn't see how that's a bad idea.
Shop run's always good. I think one of the biggest gold sinks in terms of shops is one we haven't even mentioned, and that's Feathers of Mart.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Hey, they're a good profit, though.
Yeah, but you're
No,
not.
you're not generating GP. No, you're right. You're right.
Every time you do a corrupted creature or a soul devourer task, you get like 200. So like that's 200 feathers that have just been removed from the game. They're 1.5k each.
How are we just figuring this one out? I do a lot of Slayer, and I didn't even think of that.
That's 300k removed just from one task.
That's a lot.
We've spoken a ton about gold sinks.
Mm-hmm.
What about things that are bringing GP into the game and ways that they could be mitigated some way? So I commented briefly on Spring Cleaner. That brings a ton of gold into the game because it's continuously alking. You've got invention machines that are alking. Treasure Hunter. And then you've also got things like the plank makers that they don't use GP, they use charges. But planks are not made with GP anymore because the GP method is just not worth it anymore because that invention machine killed plank making, which then killed a gold sink because that was a lot of GP exit in the game with portable sawmills, etc.
Also, no one pays armor or weapon repair costs anymore because everything's augmented.
Yeah, because of augmentations. Unless they take their augmentation off, then they repair it. Or like helm, gloves, and boots, which are very minimal. There is obviously a decent amount of GP coming into the game with all of those different things. I don't even know if as much GP that's entering is exiting. Is there a way we could mitigate the GP entering with like new items or anything like that?
Could just make a hard and fast rule where bosses don't drop GP anymore.
Yeah, Rax drops lots of GP.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? Like, I think 200k is a pretty common drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even that. They drop GP in terms of salvage and stuff as well, right?
Yeah, like the rune plated salvage is a lot.
Dude, Raksha.
Yeah, Orichalcium salvage from Raksha is just
like
literally like, yeah, just pure cash, 1.2 mil.
All the God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses drop like 60 to 80k fairly commonly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And a ton of salvage from every single one of those
lots of
two bosses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you just out that with your Spring Cleaner because if you have max Spring Cleaner, it outs all the note as well in one spring. So you get a 300k out every time you kill Vindictor and it drops salvage. That's a lot of GP coming into the game. And Gold 102 instances don't even cost GP. So you're not exiting GP by fighting those bosses.
Next though. But still, people still use instances, I'm pretty sure. Like,
yeah, they're great for soloing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Next definitely takes the, 800k, or if you have the reduction, it's 600.
It's a lot of money.
But it drops Onyx Bolts, which are 3 mil out.
Yeah, you probably get one each maybe not each hour, but like enough to cover it.
Yeah, they're not rare.
Removing gold, but then loads of gold is entering from the drops again, so...
Warp drops Onyx Bolts.
Yeah.
You get like one drop an hour.
KK drops Onyx Bolts, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
Although KK, I don't believe it's as common.
Yeah. It's a bit rarer from KK.
I don't think I've seen many Onyx Bolts from KK, and I've like, what is it, 400?
That's why everyone hates KK, because it only drops seeds and
dude,
sharks.
yes, it's stupid seeds and sharks, dude. Like, stop, KK. And magic.
But then,
blocks,
we're like, oh, we can't have it dropping all of this salvage. But then we're like, oh, KK sucks because it doesn't drop salvage.
Okay, that magic seed drop used to be pretty good.
Yeah, and so did I think they've done the Torstals.
The Torstals, 10 Torstal seeds is worth 4.3k now.
Yeah, so Nex is just useless with the seed drop and KK seed drops.
Well, that's just because Torstal herbs are worth nothing because so many bosses drop grimy Torstals.
If we were to remove, alcohols from the boss tables, then it just needs to have more herbs and stuff added, which then adds to that issue. So it's really hard to find that solution. I think instead of, changing it so they don't drop X, Y, or Z, we need to change it so that we have more things that just take GP out. Like those things like that runecrafting method and stuff like that. I feel like we just need more things to combat the GP, not necessarily worrying about how much GP comes into the game, because there's always been a ton of GP coming into the game with Alkin and all of that stuff. Even before the Miner and Smith rework, you just out the rune items, you know? We just need more gold things, honestly.
What do people do with the products of smithing now?
Normally either break them down to like the burial versions, or they do get out as well, or disassembled.
Well, and I guess you make a lot less items
Yeah.
via smithing than you used to now.
But like the big items disassemble for like a ton of components, like the Elder Rune.
Okay.
Like +5 or whatever, so people normally just disassemble them. So there isn't tons of GP coming into the game from smithing anymore, I don't think. So I guess that probably helped a lot, having burial armor be a thing, because you just consume it, and then obviously you also disassemble. So that's definitely helped with combat and inflation a bit as well, I think, the Miner and Smithing rework. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because for a long time, making rune plate legs or rune 2Hs after 99 smithing was a profitable and pretty good way of getting 120 smithing. So a lot of people did that.
And rune 2-handers were always out.
Yeah.
Whereas now we can just burial armor and completely remove all of that resource out of the game. That's a lot of resources removed in the game. Every single time you do a rune plate body +5 burial, I think it's like 180 bars total for a +5. And that's just yeeted out of the game in one make. That's actually kind of cool, like, thinking about it. They've done really well in, like, the stuff they've revamped, 100%. It's really good. It's just so hard. But then, like, if there isn't that much GP entering and a decent amount still leaving, etc., and they've done their ways to combat it and such, why is there this giant inflation still?
Demand? I generally think it's because more people are PVMing than ever. I swear it must be.
The supply doesn't meet the demand, but then if more people start PVMing, is the supply then going to meet the demand and everything's going to crash? But then nothing's going to be worth money and everyone's going to get demotivated and stop PVMing.
That's hard. It's like big. That's lots of data. Like, I want to know numbers, but Jagex, you know, I'm like really curious to how many like drops are received a week from like all the items. How much money?
Only issue with revealing that stuff is
merchers.
Yeah. So like if they say, oh, X amount of things come from this boss, and it's like way lower than people expected, that could artificially inflate a value or deflate it if there's tons coming into the game.
You have a point. What a shame.
Hear me out. What if we simply added a new currency type, like platinum, and 100k gold equals 1 platinum, or 1 million gold, however you want to delineate that. Platinum goes into your currency pouch, so it's nice and convenient, and it's like
it goes to your coin pouch, right?
Yeah, and it automatically transmutes to whatever currency type you need, so it's not some sort of hindrance. And we just live with inflation the way it is, because cutting down on it, I think you made a good point when you said that it could motivate people if suddenly the prices of resources and items really crash in their gold value, even if relatively everything is still the same. But yeah, that could have a negative impact on like people's desire to want to continue playing if they had something that's worth 400 mil and now it's worth 100 mil, not because it's worth less, but just because there's less gold in the game to buy it.
It's just so hard to think about.
I think one huge problem we have is just like the gold limit. We still have a gold limit, right?
I think that's it.
Too many items are worth more than max cash.
Yeah, like World of Warcraft as an example. I remember when I first started that game, I played it when I was like 16, like 9 years ago. And like 1 gold was a lot of money back then. And then when I continued playing it over like, I think I played it for like 5 years. By the end of that, 1 gold was nothing.
Yeah.
The inflation was insane still in that game over those 5 years. But there's no cap in that game, where there's a cap here that like makes it to the point where it's hard to justify something being over a max cash stack, because then you can't even buy it on the GE. So a big issue with the Eldritch Crossbow is it's much harder to purchase now, and it's much more easier to be manipulated.
Yeah, we just need platinum or some other way of being able to hold more than 2.1 bill in our coin pouches.
I think that would solve a lot of the issues, having like extra token currency, just because a lot of the stigma from like having to trade players and potentially being scammed and, you know, not knowing what to do, where to go. And just even like if you get a drop, like a, I don't know, third age die or blood die from a clue scroll, and you sell it on the GE, you've literally just sold it for half of what it's worth.
Yeah.
Those type of things are just, they shouldn't happen in a game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like a new player, they may not know how to use the forums to sell items.
Exactly, yeah. Or they may have their first ever time of like going to the forums and they get scammed and then they don't want to play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
because someone like scammed them in a trade or lured them or whatever.
Exactly.
And then that just sucks. So honestly, I think adding more gold sinks to the game would be cool, which would help. But after talking about all of the different things that do remove gold from the game and us having that in-depth conversation, I feel like I don't even know if we need more gold sinks at this point. We just need that thing that helps us with not having a cap. That limit is what's limiting us, because in our brains, we're like, that is too much money because it's cap. But if there was no cap, it wouldn't be too much money.
I think it would be important just to have enough gold sinks to rein inflation in a little bit, rather than cut down on the amount of GP in the game, but rather just prevent inflation from continuing to spiral out of control. Because what if inflation just continues at an exponential rate, and 5-10 years from now max platinum isn't even enough to buy certain items?
Yeah, of course we still need certain things, but I think we have a decent amount, like, in the game right now. I mean, if we didn't, things would be even more crazy than what they are now.
Yeah.
True, that's true.
Even when Telos came out, and that was 2016, I think, all of the Telos weapons and stuff were over max cash for a while. So it's nothing new that a weapon is over max cash, because they were that way for quite a decent amount of time. Like, I bought my Starvus this game when it was over max cash, and my Saren Global was nearly over max cash when I purchased them for the first time. And that was like the norm back then. Like, you would expect to pay that. But because things started under max cash and now they're going over it, it's not the norm.
Yeah, good comment.
I don't feel like the money for items and stuff is that outrageous. And I don't even know if we are having a giant inflation. I think it's just more demand versus supply that we were talking about. And yeah, we just need something that combats it, something that stops that limit and just helps out those people that want to buy the stuff. There was another thing that was a pretty cool idea where, like, obviously rares, you can't even buy them with spirit shards a max stack now when it comes to blue pie hat, cracker, and white pie hat. So having something that was like a GE for normal stuff, and then having like a rare exchange or something where people will either post their offers and people can accept those offers by just like clicking a button, and then they get the platinum tokens, and then the person gets their party hat. It's like the forums, but in game, posting it on like a notice board. And that way it's not like listing your items as in like in the grand exchange, but as like a post. And then maybe someone will PM you, be like, I saw your, one in the rare exchange for 7 bill. I'd like to spend 6.8 on it. Would you accept that? And then they can give you an offer on that post. Like, I guess eBay, where you have like buy it now or best offer. So like you could have that, and then you could accept that best offer.
Lots of other MMOs have that.
Yeah, so those type of things would be really helpful as well, because everything then is like automated. And I feel like automated systems are the way to go in 2020, 2021, MMOs especially, if that makes sense. I don't know whether I just rambled and it didn't make sense, but...
That makes sense.
No, I totally agree. Actually, lately I've been working on automating. My girlfriend has like reports for work that she has to compare to last week's reports. And I've been working on a way to automate those in Excel, so...
Yeah, because I feel like stuff like that is just so key to nowadays. People want to get it there and then. They don't want to have to sit around and type selling X or post on the forums, which are like laggy as hell, etc. I feel like people would just be so much better off if they were able to just post something, leave it there. If they get an offer, it will notify you in like where it would normally show where you would sell it. It'd be like, you have received one offer on... And it has to be within like 10% of your asking price. So people can't just spam me with 1 GP offers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they obviously lose their GP while their offer is out. So they can't just place an offer on everyone's thing.
Craigslist in RS.
Yeah.
This is what we've come to.
Dude, why not?
Honestly, I feel like stuff like that would be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It even sounds like a fun feature, dude.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, how hard is that to code, though?
Ooh, yeah.
That's the thing, because we say these cool things and we're like, oh, that would be nice in the game. But then can Jagex really code that in the game in an easy way? How much dev time would that take up?
Why isn't this so easy? Why did that kind of just generate updates, dude? Feels bad, man. Feels bad.
I guess we've been talking for quite a while, but coming to the end and like talking about like rounding up stuff. We need to give our like thoughts and opinions on what we think.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I guess at the end of this conversation, after all of this chat about so many different things, I honestly am probably going to say, in my personal opinion at this point, we don't need that many more gold sinks. I would say def costs being revised or looked at a bit would be
Yes.
lovely. Having like a cap to how much a def cost can be would be lovely. And keeping the rest the same would be fine, because then it keeps a ring of death useful if it's capped at 3 mil or whatever. But then it also makes it less punishing if you do die with like switches.
Kill count. That's what someone said in my video.
Hmm.
Limit it to, if you have 10 KC at the boss, the death costs are like, it's free until you have 10 KC, except for raids or bosses that are like really slow.
Yeah, I guess like adding that in addition to it.
Would be nice. Like just 10 KC, like Vindicta. That's enough to like get
A
acquainted.
learner mode kind of
And
thing.
they already have that mechanic because you get training points up to 10 KC if you go with someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They already have a way to count for your first 10 KC and apply some sort of effect to it.
Yeah, even if it's just like 90% reduced def cost for your first 10 KC.
Yeah.
Something they can do to look at def cost would be amazing. Stuff like that, like either, you know, giving a cap or a reduced cost when you're starting, etc. Or both would be lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And just making it so that we have something that goes over max cash, because the issue is we class max cash as a lot of money, but the game is 20 years old. Max cash has been a thing for ages. So many items have been over max cash for such a long time. They just need to implement something that makes it so it doesn't make max cash be like, oh my god, that's so much money in people's brains. So when they have to spend over that and go trade someone for it, it's going to be less impactful to them.
Yeah.
Like that, what you said, like there's definitely, there needs to change some things, but in terms of goal sinks, I think we're good.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy though, because I went into this podcast thinking we need more gold sinks. Then once we discuss so many different gold sinks, I don't even know if we do. I know there's a lot of GP coming into the game, but there's a lot exiting.
Fix Treasure Hunter.
Yeah, I would just say maybe a little bit less money coming into the game, or make these very expensive alchables like huge plated salvage and onyx bolts, make them really useful to break down for invention, like give them good components or something.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're not just alch.
Give them an extra choice to disassemble over alchin, like the smithing rework that we spoke about, and why that's so good.
Yeah, like maybe you could use the rune plated salvage for smithing for XP or Artisan's Workshop favor or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let us alch stone spirits, Jax, please.
Yeah, more GB coming into the game.
Disassemble. Sorry.
Disassembling stone spirits would be quite cool, honestly.
Yes, please. Just add it, Jax. Just do it, please.
Maybe add a well where you can deposit stone spirits and you get the stoned type.
Yes, I would buy stone spirits then.
Yeah, the stoned. Munclesonkey the stoned.
Yeah, that'd be a great tile. But then stone spirits don't even matter at this point. You make so much money bossing from drops and stuff. Like, who cares if you get a stone spirit drop when you're making so much money from the actual items now? I went to Twin Furies yesterday. I finished my title because I got the offhand blade finally.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I got a main hand and an offhand blade, and I made 15 mil in an hour.
You had both pets before you had an offhand blade?
Yeah, I have 1,400
That's
KC,
crazy.
and I had 5 main hands and no offhand blade.
I saw that, yeah. Nice, dude. Grats. And Warden done. And like, oh, you're using some stuff, dude.
And Rax Log, PogChamp.
Dude, insane.
Sounds like a very productive
It
week.
has been a good week, yeah.
Give us the AFK way where you pay GP to train Runecraft.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
Please, yes, I would love that, dude. I really would like AFK methods that cost you GP, are easy to get into, improv, of course. I really would.
Yeah. People love their AFKs, so they'd pay it.
Yeah, what if every clan had had a Heffen monastery? RS3 would look a lot like a private server at that point.
But yeah, thank you for the chat. I appreciate you guys coming on. That was fun. Do you want to say anything rounding off? Any last words or anything like that?
Last words? Sounds like before and yeah, I don't know. It's like no, not really though.
Last words on the video.
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say tea either way. It doesn't matter what kind of last word it would have been.
Tea.
Yeah, bagged.
Teabagged.
All right. Well, on that one, have a good one. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all. Holy moly! Hit me with a tea bag.
Are you actually gonna end it now though?
Yeah.
Insane, dude.